Assalamu alaikum. This is Sadia Kuram. Today I am going to explain the topic, the development of Urdu up to Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and this topic is from the chapter Our Languages. First of all, I am going to give you a short review of basically the story of Urdu, which I told you in detail in the class. In the times of Sultan of Delhi, people from several nations used to meet in the army camps. These soldiers were recruited from Turkey, Persia, Afghanistan, as well as various regions of South Asia. So their languages were mixed, and a new language came to be known as Urdu, which means camp, and camp is the Turkish word. So during that period, people used to Urdu only for speaking, while there was no grammar while using, so they used Turkish, Persian or Arabic for their writings. So Amir Khusro was a great Sufi master of 13th century who was one of the earliest poets who wrote in Urdu as well. So after that, Wali Dakkani became the first poet to write a complete collection of ghazals, and his complete collection of ghazal was called Diwan. So at that time, Urdu did not follow, as I told you, any fixed rules of grammar. But as more poets started writing in this language, grammar also began to develop. So with the passage of time, people writing to start in Urdu, they liked Urdu and they started to write in Urdu language. So gradually, grammar also began to develop. Gradually, Urdu became popular not only among the Muslims but also the Hindus in the South Asia. So countless writers offered great work in Urdu. But the following 7 personalities which I am going to tell you, these are the 7 personalities which did most of the work for the progress and the development of Urdu language till end of the 19th century. So first of all, you can see on your screen and in the book, Shah Waliullah was the first personality. He did not write in Urdu, but he started a movement of spreading general knowledge about the religion and society among common people. So this had an effect on the development of Urdu in the next generation, since the language was more suitable for this purpose. So basically he started a movement which was called revivalist movement. At that time, the people of the Muslims of subcontinent deviated or forgotten the rules, Islamic teachings, Islamic rules, and they started to follow the different traditions and festivals of the different kind of the religion and people. So he was very much worried about the situation of the Muslims. So he started a revivalist movement to revive the teaching of Islam. So in his revivalist movement, Urdu played a very crucial role, and he used Urdu language, and that's why he was one of that 7 personalities who did so much work for the development of Urdu. He was not the writer, but he started revivalist movement, remember. So in his movement, he delivered the speeches in Urdu. So next one, Mir Taqi Mir, the generation after Shah Waliullah. So produced many poets of Urdu language. They included famous poets like Mirza Sauda and Nazir Akbar Abadi and many more. Same like that, the Mir Taqi Mir stands out as the genius who developed Urdu for expressing almost any kind of thought. And next one is Sachal Sarmas. So Sachal Sarmas was a great Sufi master who lived in Sindh but wrote poetry in 7 languages. So Sachal Sarmas was basically the Sindhi poet, but he wrote his poetry also in 7 languages, and Urdu was also his favorite language. So he also wrote many poems in Urdu. So he was also the great writer of Urdu, and he also did a great work for the development of Urdu. So next one is Mir Aman of Delhi. A very little is known about his life or his biography, but he was a great writer, and one thing is very famous. One book is very famous, which he had written, called Bago Bahar. And actually, this book is the translation of Amir Khusro's book that was written in Persian. And I told you in the story of the Urdu that Amir Khusro was the one of the earliest poets who wrote some books, also writer and poet who wrote some books in Urdu language. So this is one of the book of Amir Khusro, which he had written basically in Persian, but Amir Aman also translated it into Urdu. So you can see that how these writers and poets loved Urdu language, and they started to develop this language in good manners. So next one is Mirza Ghalib. He was a great poet, historian and thinker, and well known throughout the South Asia. Although he wrote mainly in Persian, so he was also the writer of Persian language, but he wrote some Urdu finest poetry and prose. He was also the writer and poet, and consequently developed Urdu for expressing deep philosophical thoughts. So his writings are full of philosophy and very deep philosophy, and he also wrote the thoughtful things in Urdu. So Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal emperor, and he was also the poet, and he had no power, but he was greatly respected by the people of South Asia. He also used Urdu language in his ghazals. So he was the writer of Urdu language, but the main thing and most important thing is that he also wrote ghazals in Punjabi. So he was the last Mughal emperor, but he was also the poet, and he also wrote much of his poetry in Urdu as well as Punjabi was also his favorite language, so he wrote some ghazals in Punjabi language. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Next was the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1867 AD, Hindus started a movement against Urdu. So historian and journalist. So he was a journalist as well. He wrote many columns and writings in the newspapers at that time. He also started a magazine that is called Risala Tehzeebul Akhlaq. So he also had written in this magazine, and at that time Hindus were against the Urdu language in the subcontinent, and at that time Sir Syed realized that Urdu was important for the progress and happiness of the people of South Asia, especially for the Muslims. So accordingly he wrote several important books and essays in Urdu language. and brought out Modern Urdu magazine. As I told you, he published some magazines in which he also written or published the different type of the modern scientific essays and writings of the different countries' writers, and he also translated these writings of different English writers into Urdu. So in this magazine, there was the both of the things. There were the both of the things, English writings as well as the translation of these English writings into Urdu. So these essays in the language brought out Modern Urdu magazine and made every effort to protect. He made every effort to protect Urdu language. So Maulana Hali, a great Urdu poet and critic, also called him the father of Urdu. So Maulana Altaf Hussain Hali is also a great Urdu poet and and that great poet also called Sir Syed Ahmad Khan father of Urdu because of his efforts for Urdu, because this was the great effort to publish a magazine. In this magazine there were the writing of different scientists, especially on science, modern science and modern. He also provided modern knowledge to the Muslim of subcontinent, and the Muslims of subcontinent were far away from the education and modern knowledge. So his efforts were great, and he published a magazine in which one page of the magazine was about the writing of any foreign writer, English writer, about science or any modern knowledge, and also the second page was the translation of this writing, specific writing, into Urdu. So he did so much work for the development of Urdu. Okay. In the last paragraph, you can see the most important step taken by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1886 was to invite the Muslim representatives from South Asia and make them aware of the need for making decisions together. So that was the time when British rule was there all over the subcontinent, and Muslims were being crushed by the different religions and also the British, from the British side. So they were uneducated, and they were very much in very pathetic condition. But Sir Syed was very much sad about the condition of the Muslims, and they had no any source of progress. So he started different type of the schools, colleges, schools especially, and in which he started the English education as well as Islamic education. He also wrote different writings. As I told you, he published a magazine for the Muslims, for the awareness of the modern knowledge. So Sir Syed also gathered all the Muslims from all over the subcontinent in 1886, and he also started. He also made or organized a very important organization with the name of Mohammedan Educational Congress. So at the platform of Mohammedan Educational Congress, Sir Syed invited the Muslims in 1886 from all over the world, and there came all the representatives of all the regions of the Muslims, and these representatives agreed that that is the time now we have to decide our problems, and we have to resolve our problems, and and we will get their solutions by ourselves, because Sir Syed had given them the awareness that Muslim can only can get rid of all these problems because of their own efforts. So he invited all the people from all over the subcontinent in 1886, and this organization was called Mohammedan Educational Congress, and this is also called consensus, which means something on which everyone agrees. Is it clear? So this organization, in this organization, or in this is you cannot say that this was a movement, but this was an organization with the name of Mohammedan Educational Congress, and this is also called consensus. Consensus का मतलब होता है कि जिस पर सब agree करें. So every representative of the Muslims who came from the different part of the subcontinent, they did consensus on the thinking of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and this decision making had a significant impact on the development of Urdu. So previously only experts decided on who was a good or bad writer. The new decisions, however, gave everyone, included those who could not read or write, the power to recognize a good or bad writer because they were also a part of the society. So that's all for today, and hope you will understand this topic very well, and and I told you about the history of the development of Urdu through the different writers and poets and historians. Now you can understand these things in good manners. So that's all for today. Take care. Allah Hafiz.